NATO was bombing Yugoslavia. But was the Chinese embassy strike really a mistake? On May 7, 1999, during NATO's bombing of Yugoslavia, three precision-guided bombs struck the Chinese embassy in Belgrade, killing 3 Chinese citizens and wounding about 20 others. The incident triggered massive protests across China. In Beijing, the siege was so intense that embassy personnel were trapped inside and had to survive on emergency rations for days. The Chinese government neither encouraged nor fully suppressed the demonstrations, state media portraying the deceased as victims of American aggression. President Clinton issued a formal apology 2 days later, and Washington eventually paid compensation. The official NATO explanation was that the bombing resulted from an outdated map used by the CIA to select targets. Within months, however, reports from Western investigative journalists citing anonymous NATO and U.S. sources claimed the strike had been deliberate and carried out by the U.S. alone, without other NATO allies. According to these accounts, the embassy housed a Chinese military signals intelligence unit that was relaying targeting data and communications for the Yugoslav army through a hardened underground node. The 3 precision strikes allegedly hit exactly that communications bunker, which was located in a wing added to the original embassy building. In exchange for the use of Chinese encrypted comms, Belgrade had promised Beijing pieces of a U.S. F-117A stealth fighter that Yugoslav forces had shot down weeks earlier. That shoot-down happened on March 27, 1999, when a Yugoslav air defense brought down the only F-117A ever lost in combat using a Soviet-era S-125 Neva system. The story that they detected it with 1940s vintage long-wave radar is a persistent myth. In reality, they used a cleverly modified P-18 spoon-rest meter-band radar operating at very low frequency, combined with disciplined emission control, visual spotting, and the fact that the Americans had grown complacent and were reusing the same ingress routes night after night. There are unconfirmed reports that a second F-117 was damaged the same night but limped back to Aviano Air Base in Italy. Fragments of the wrecked aircraft were displayed as a trophy in Belgrade for years. Russia and China gained access to the wreckage. Russian specialists examined it for months, while Chinese technicians are widely believed to have studied components as well. Some sources claim pieces were transferred to China. Both nations later introduced new stealth-defeating radar techniques and low-frequency early warning systems that echo the Yugoslav methods. The embassy bombing controversy was never officially acknowledged by either Washington or Beijing. Tensions cooled rapidly once the U.S. strongly supported China's entry into the WTO later that year, and the matter was quietly buried.